I was 28 years old when I watched Bruce Lee turn down $1 million in a hotel suite at the Dorchester. I am 80 now. I have not told this story in 52 years. My doctor told me 6 months ago. Lung cancer. Stage 3. They gave me 7 months. Maybe 9 if I am lucky. I have not been lucky in 52 years. So I am telling it now, before my voice goes. My name is Reginald Carter. In June of 1972, I was the senior concierge at the Dorchester Hotel on Park Lane in London. I had worked at the Dorchester since 1965. I started as a bellboy at age 21, earning £4 per week. I worked my way up. By 1972, I was earning £1,400 per year. Good money in those days. I spoke 4 languages: English, French, Italian, and serviceable Arabic, learned from 4 years of serving Saudi royalty. I had seen everything in those 4 years. I had served Elizabeth Taylor for 11 weeks. I had served Aristotle Onassis for 9 days. I had served the Shah of Iran for 47 hours. I had handled requests for caviar at 3 a.m., for a private organist at 4 a.m., for an emergency dentist at 5 a.m. I had bought a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow on a Saturday morning for a Saudi prince and watched him gift it to a doorman on Sunday evening. I had never been asked to bring a movie star to a private suite to receive a $1 million cash offer. That happened on Saturday, June 17, 1972, at 4:47 p.m. in Suite 901. There were 4 people in that suite when the door opened at 4:59 p.m. and a small man in a black turtleneck walked in alone. His name was Bruce Lee. He was 31 years old. He weighed 138 pounds. He carried nothing. He had flown in from Hong Kong that morning. He was 5 weeks away from filming Enter the Dragon, and he had walked into the wrong meeting. Or so we all thought. What happened in the next 47 minutes is why Prince Khalid bin Faisal Al-Sabah never returned to the Dorchester after that afternoon. It is why Colonel Nigel Worthington, the Prince's personal bodyguard, resigned his commission 11 days later. It is why Tariq Mansour, the Lebanese translator, went home to Beirut and changed careers entirely. And it is why I still keep an apple core sealed in a glass jar on the bookshelf in my flat in Earl's Court. I will show you the jar before this is over. But first, you have to understand the world we were standing in. June 1972. Edward Heath was Prime Minister of Britain. The Watergate break-in had happened 5 days earlier in Washington, but nobody in London cared yet. The Vietnam War was 11 months from ending. The 1973 oil crisis was 16 months away, but the men who would cause it were already in London. Saudi Arabia and Kuwait were sitting on the largest untapped oil reserves on Earth. The princes who controlled those reserves were untouchably rich and increasingly bored. They came to London to spend money. They stayed at the Dorchester. They tipped in £100 notes. They never asked twice. The Dorchester had been London's most exclusive hotel since 1931. In June 1972, it had 250 rooms. The penthouse, Suite 901, was 4,200 square feet. It cost £840 per night. That was £14,000 per night in today's money. The suite had been booked for 6 weeks by a Saudi-Kuwaiti dual royal prince named Khalid bin Faisal Al-Sabah. The prince was 34 years old. He was 6'5". He weighed 290 pounds. He was the 3rd son of a Saudi prince who had married a Kuwaiti princess. He held dual royal status, extremely rare in the Gulf. His personal allowance from the Saudi treasury was $4 million per year. His private oil revenues from a Kuwaiti field he had been gifted at age 18 were $14 million per year. His total personal net worth in 1972 was approximately $400 million. He had attended Eton, Sandhurst, and Oxford. He spoke English, Arabic, French, and Russian. He had been the only Arab student to row in the Oxford-Cambridge boat race in 1962. He owned 4 properties in London. He owned 6 in Paris. He owned 9 in New York. He had been visiting the Dorchester for 11 years. I had been his assigned concierge for 4 of those years. I had never seen him refused, by anyone, about anything. On the night of June 16, 1972, the prince called me to his suite at 11:47 p.m. He had a request. He wanted me to be present in Suite 901 the next afternoon, when he made an offer to a guest. He wanted me there because he did not trust the hotel staff to deliver the offer correctly. He wanted a witness. I asked him who the guest would be. He said, "His name is Bruce Lee. He is a martial artist. He is the greatest fighter alive. I will offer him $6 million to be my personal bodyguard." I had heard the name. I had seen the big boss at a private screening for hotel staff in March of that year. I knew who Bruce Lee was. I asked the prince why he wanted Bruce Lee to be his bodyguard. He looked at me. He paused. He said, "Mr. Carter, I do not actually need a bodyguard. I have Colonel Worthington. I do not require additional protection. I want Mr. Lee for a different reason. I want him to teach me something." I asked what he wanted to be taught. The prince looked out the window at Hyde Park. He said, "I want him to teach me how to live in my body without wanting to leave it." I did not know how to respond to that. I bowed. I said, "Yes, Your Highness, I will be present." I left the suite at 12:14 a.m. I did not sleep that night. I need to tell you about the prince before I tell you what happened on Saturday afternoon. Prince Khalid bin Faisal Al-Sabah was born September 14, 1937, in Riyadh. His father was a third-tier Saudi prince. His mother was a Kuwaiti princess from the Al-Sabah ruling family. He was the third of 14 sons across his father's 4 wives. He had an older brother named Faisal. Faisal was 3 years older. The 2 boys were inseparable. They grew up together in 9 palaces across Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Lebanon. In April 1953, Faisal was 19, Khalid was 16. They were both scheduled to fly from Beirut to Damascus for a polo match. The plane could only carry one of them. There was a weight restriction with the cargo. Khalid had the seat. Faisal asked for it. Khalid gave it to his brother. The plane crashed near Beirut at 4:47 p.m. that afternoon. There were no survivors. Khalid was 16 years old when he learned his brother had died in his place. He had carried his brother's pocket watch every day for 19 years. The watch had stopped at 4:47 p.m. He never had it repaired. He kept it in his jacket pocket. He touched it when he was nervous. He had been hospitalized in a Swiss clinic for 14 days in November 1969. He had attempted self-harm. The Saudi royal family had ordered the incident covered up. He had been ordered by his father to never speak of it. He had complied for 3 years. He had married twice. Both marriages had been arranged. Both had been annulled within 2 years. He had no children. He did not believe he could love. His personal physician, a London-based Lebanese doctor named Dr. Karim Sadeh, had documented severe depression in his medical files for 9 years. The files are sealed under Saudi diplomatic protection. Dr. Sadeh's son, who is now a cardiologist in Geneva, has agreed to release portions of them for the next chapter. In March of 1972, Prince Khalid had seen The Big Boss at the Saudi Royal Cinema. He had watched it 6 times in 4 weeks. Then he had obtained a print of Fist of Fury through diplomatic channels. He had watched it 11 times. He had told Tariq Mansour, his translator, in April 1972, "Tariq, I have spent 19 years looking at men who were dead inside. Mr. Lee is alive. Look at him on the screen. He is alive in his hands. He is alive in his eyes. He is alive in the way he breathes between movements. I have not been alive since I was 16 years old. I want to learn how he is alive. Tariq is alive. He is 81 years old. He lives in Beirut. He has agreed to be filmed for the next chapter." He told me this story in 2019, in a phone call that lasted 4 hours. He cried twice during the call. The prince ordered Bruce Lee to be contacted through 4 layers of intermediaries, beginning April 24, 1972. The initial contact went through the Saudi embassy in Hong Kong, then through a London talent agency, then through Bruce's American agent, Marvin Klein. Marvin Klein was 36 years old. He had represented Bruce since 1969. He told me, when I tracked him down in 1991, that he had been suspicious of the offer. He had told Bruce, "Bruce, this is not a real offer. Saudi princes do not offer $1 million per year to bodyguards. There is something else." Bruce had listened. Bruce had said, "I will go. I want to see what he actually wants." That was Bruce's only condition. He would meet the prince. He would make no promises before the meeting. The meeting was scheduled for Saturday, June 17, 1972, 4:47 p.m. The Dorchester, Suite 901. I was assigned to be present. I did not know I would be a witness to history. At 4:47 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, I entered suite 901 through the staff door. The suite smelled of bergamot tea and Cuban cigars. The afternoon sun came through the western window in long, golden bars. Hyde Park was visible across the street. The trees were full June green. Children were playing on the Serpentine. I could hear them faintly through the open balcony. The prince was already in the room. He was sitting in a green velvet armchair facing the window. He was wearing a charcoal Savile Row suit, £840 in 1972 pounds. His tie was Hermes silk, £40. His shoes were John Lobb, £180. The total outfit value was £4,200. He had bathed for 47 minutes that morning. I knew this because I had arranged the steam bath service. He had practiced his English speech 4 times that afternoon. I knew this because I had heard him through the door. He was nervous. I had not seen him nervous in 4 years. Tariq Mansour stood next to a silver tray on a low marble table. Tariq was 38 years old. He was tall, thin, balding. He wore a brown suit that was too small in the shoulders. He had been the prince's translator for 11 years. On the silver tray were 2 objects. The first was a black leather attaché case, Italian-made, Bottega Veneta, 1972 model. The case was 24 inches wide. Inside were 10,000 $100 bills, vacuum-sealed in 100 stacks of 100, 1 million United States dollars. The case weighed 22 pounds. The second object on the silver tray was a single Granny Smith apple. The prince had specifically requested the apple. He had told me the night before, "Mr. Carter, bring me an apple, a common apple, from a common stand. I want a gesture of friendship that is not a luxury. Mr. Lee will understand." I had purchased the apple at 9:47 a.m. that morning. I had purchased it from Mr. Patel's stand at the corner of Berkeley Square and Bruton Street. Mr. Vikram Patel was a Gujarati immigrant who had moved to London in 1958. He was 47 years old. He had 4 children. He sold apples and pears 14 hours a day. He stood on the same corner every day from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. I knew him because I bought my morning apples from him. The apple cost 4 pence. I placed it on the silver tray at 4:43 p.m. The prince looked at it. He nodded. He said in English, "Thank you, Mr. Carter. Now we wait." Colonel Nigel Worthington stood at the suite door. He was 47 years old. He was 6'3". He weighed 240 pounds. He had served 19 years in the British Special Air Service. He had killed 23 men in operational service across 6 conflicts. He had been hired by the prince in 1969 as personal protection for £18,000 per year, 14 times what a Scotland Yard inspector earned. He was wearing a navy suit. He was standing at parade rest. He did not appear to breathe. I stood by the bar. The 4 of us waited. At exactly 4:59 p.m., there was a single quiet knock on the door. Colonel Worthington opened it. A small man in a black turtleneck and dark grey slacks walked in alone. He was 5'7". He weighed 138 pounds. He had a leather satchel at his hip, but it was empty. He was carrying nothing. He stopped 6 feet from the prince. He bowed deeply at the waist. He held the bow for 4 seconds. He straightened. He spoke in English with a slight Hong Kong accent. "Your Royal Highness, thank you for inviting me. I am Bruce Lee." He looked at Tariq. He nodded politely. He said one word in Arabic. "Salam." He looked at me. He smiled. He nodded as if he knew me. Then he walked to the silver tray. He looked at the attaché case for 4 seconds. He looked at the apple. He picked up the apple. He sat down across from the prince in the second green velvet armchair without being invited. He held the apple in his right hand. He did not eat it. He did not set it down. He looked at the prince. He smiled politely. He said nothing. Prince Khalid had practiced his speech for 14 days. He delivered it in 4 minutes, 11 seconds. I timed it on my pocket watch. The speech included praise for Bruce's films, 7 sentences. He had memorized the running times of both. The offer details: 1 million United States dollars per year, 6 years exclusive, $6 million total, paid in any currency at any bank in any city. The role description: a guard of honor, 4 weeks of personal service per year, 48 weeks of complete personal freedom. The residence options: a palace wing in Riyadh, a beach villa in Cannes, a penthouse in Manhattan, full domestic staff at all three. The speech ended with this sentence: "Mr. Lee, I am offering you what no man has been offered before in 1972. I am asking you to accept it." The prince looked at Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee held the apple. He did not respond for 11 seconds. Then he held the apple up, level with his own eyes. He said, "Your Royal Highness, may I ask, where did this apple come from?" 11 words. Tariq looked at the prince. The prince did not understand the question. Tariq translated it into Arabic, even though the prince had heard it in English. The prince looked at me. I answered. I said, "The apple came from a fruit stand at the corner of Berkeley Square and Bruton Street, Your Highness. I purchased it this morning at 9:47 a.m. from Mr. Patel's stand. I paid 4 pence. Bruce Lee nodded once. He looked back at the prince. He said, "Your Royal Highness, do you know Mr. Patel?" 7 words. The prince did not answer. He looked at Tariq. Tariq did not translate. Tariq did not move. Bruce Lee said, "I will tell you about him." He spoke for 47 seconds, without raising his voice, without changing his tone. He said, "Mr. Patel is 47 years old. He has 4 children. His youngest daughter is 11. Her name is Priya. She wants to be a doctor. Mr. Patel sells apples 14 hours a day so Priya can attend grammar school in Kensington. He pays £4 per week for the school fees. He sells 47 apples per hour. He earns £8 per day. He pays £4 to his suppliers. He pays £4 to his landlord. He has 4 pence at the end of each day to feed his family. The apple in your suite, Your Royal Highness, cost him a quarter of an hour of his life. Do you know this?" The prince did not respond. Colonel Worthington shifted his weight by 2 inches. Tariq did not breathe. I held the bar with my right hand to remain standing. Bruce Lee stood up slowly. He held the apple. He walked across the suite to the western window. He looked at Hyde Park. He spoke without turning around. "Your Royal Highness, if I accept your offer, what will Mr. Patel sell me on Tuesday morning? An apple or his daughter's future? When you buy my time for $1 million per year, you do not buy my time. You buy 6,000 hours of Mr. Patel's apples. You buy 14,000 hours that Priya does not attend school. I do not own those hours. They are not mine to sell. They belong to the man who sold me the apple." 84 words. The prince spoke for the first time. He said in English, "Mr. Lee, I do not understand." Bruce Lee turned back from the window. He walked to the prince's chair. He stood in front of him. He held the apple in front of the prince's face. He spoke quietly. "Your Royal Highness, I will not accept your offer, but I will offer you something instead. I will give you the apple, and I will tell you what to do with it. May I?" 47 words. The prince said, "Yes." Bruce Lee placed the apple in the prince's right hand. He folded the prince's fingers around it. He held the prince's hand in both of his own hands. He looked at the prince's eyes, and he spoke 9 words. "You cannot buy a man. You can only feed him." The prince did not move. He did not speak. He held the apple in his folded hand for 14 seconds. Then a single tear ran down his left cheek. It traveled the length of his face. It fell from his jaw. It landed on the green skin of the apple. The wet spot darkened the skin where it landed. I had served Prince Khalid bin Faisal Al-Sabah for 4 years. I had never seen his eyes wet. I had never seen him still. I had to brace my hand against the bar to keep myself standing. The prince spoke. His voice was different. It was lower. It was younger. He said in English, "I have $400 million. Who do I feed?" Bruce Lee said, "Mr. Patel, his family, his neighbors, Berkeley Square." Then asked the next question. 14 words. The prince closed his eyes. He held the apple against his chest. He did not speak for 47 seconds. Bruce Lee sat back down across from him. He waited. He did not fill the silence. He let the prince hold the silence himself. After 47 seconds, the prince opened his eyes. He held out the apple. Bruce Lee took it back gently. He produced a small folding knife from his trouser pocket. The knife was 3 inches long. The handle was wooden, worn smooth. I would learn 47 years later, in a 2019 letter from Linda Lee Cadwell that the knife had been a gift from Bruce's father, Lee Hoi Chuen, on Bruce's 17th birthday. Bruce had carried it for 14 years. Bruce sliced the apple into 5 equal pieces. He gave 1 slice to the prince. He gave 1 slice to Tarek. He gave 1 slice to Colonel Worthington. He walked across the room. He gave 1 slice to me. He kept the last slice for himself. The 4 of us ate apple slices in silence in Suite 901 of the Dorchester Hotel at 5:21 p.m. on Saturday, June 17, 1972. The apple tasted ordinary. The silence did not. I have eaten 4,800 apples in my life since that afternoon. None of them have tasted like that one. After the apple, the prince asked Bruce Lee one final question. He asked, "Mr. Lee, will you teach me how to do what you just did? Not the philosophy, the action. How does a man feed another man without humiliating him?" Bruce Lee said, "Your Royal Highness, I cannot teach you, but I can tell you what my father taught me when I was 14. He said, when you have more than you need, build a longer table, not a higher fence. That is all I know. Build the table." 47 words. The prince stood up. He walked to the silver tray. He closed the leather attaché case containing the $1 million. He carried it to Colonel Worthington. He handed it to him. He said, "Nigel, take this to the corner of Berkeley Square and Bruton Street. Find Mr. Patel. Give it to him. Tell him it is for his daughter Priya's medical school. Tell him it is from a man who learned a lesson today. Do not tell him my name. Do not tell him the source. Do not allow him to refuse it." Colonel Nigel Worthington, a 19-year veteran of the British Special Air Service who had killed 23 men in operational service, said, "Yes, Your Highness." He took the attaché case. He left the suite at 5:27 p.m. He walked down the staff stairs to the lobby. He walked through the front doors of the Dorchester. He crossed Park Lane. He walked north on Park Lane to Berkeley Square. He walked to the corner of Berkeley Square and Bruton Street. Mr. Vikram Patel was at his fruit stand. He had a cap on. He was eating a meat pie. Colonel Worthington handed him the attaché case. He said, "Mr. Patel, this is for your daughter Priya. She wishes to be a doctor. This is for her school. The donor wishes to remain anonymous." Mr. Patel looked at the attaché case. He looked at Colonel Worthington. He said, "Sir, there is a mistake. I do not know you." Colonel Worthington said, "There is no mistake, sir. The donor knows you. Please accept it." He handed Mr. Patel a sealed envelope. The envelope contained the contact information for a London barrister, Mr. Hugh Worthington, Colonel Worthington's older brother, who would assist Mr. Patel in verifying the legitimacy of the funds and managing the transfer. I did not know about the brother connection until 1991. After Colonel Worthington's death in 1990, his estate papers became public. Hugh Worthington had set up Mr. Patel's family trust pro bono. The trust was structured to ensure that no portion of the funds could be traced back to Saudi Arabia or to Prince Khalid. Mr. Patel never knew the source. Mr. Patel sat down on his apple crate at 5:34 p.m. He did not move for 47 minutes. He closed his stand at 6:21 p.m. He went home to his family in Hounslow. He did not tell his wife or his children for 4 days. On the 4th day, he hired Mr. Worthington, the barrister, not the colonel. Mr. Worthington verified the funds. The trust was established within 2 weeks. Priya Patel attended St. Mary's Hospital Medical School from 1976 to 1985. She graduated in 1985 at age 24. She is alive. She is 65 years old. She is a pediatric surgeon at the Bombay Hospital and Medical Research Centre in Mumbai. She has performed 4,247 surgeries on children in her career. She has lost 11 children on her operating table over 39 years. She has saved 4,236 children. I have a letter from her on this table. She wrote it to me last month, after Dr. Aisha Khan, her former student, now my oncologist, told her I was telling this story. The letter is dated April 14, 2026. It is in Priya's handwriting. I will read one paragraph. She wrote, "Mr. Carter, thank you for telling me what my father never knew. He died in 2008, believing the money came from an anonymous benefactor. He went to his grave honoring a stranger. Please tell whoever is left of Mr. Lee's family that one of the children who lived because of that apple is sitting in Bombay tonight, holding her own daughter's photograph. My daughter is 14. Her name is Faisal. I named her after the prince. I did not know who he was, but I knew he was real. Please tell them. Faisal sends her love. I am crying. I have not cried in 6 years, not since my wife Margaret died. I am sorry. Give me a moment. After the apple slices, Bruce Lee stood up. He bowed deeply to the prince. He said one final sentence in English. He said, "Your Royal Highness, do not contact me again. We have nothing further to discuss. The lesson is the lesson. The lesson is finished." 27 words. He placed the remaining apple core on the silver tray where the attaché case had been. He bowed once more. He walked to the suite door. He opened it himself. He left at 5:34 p.m. He did not look back. I walked to the silver tray after the door closed. I picked up the apple core. I wrapped it in a hotel napkin. I placed it in my jacket pocket. I kept it for 4 days. On the 5th day, I sealed it in a glass jar with formaldehyde from the hotel's mortuary supply. The hotel handled discreet deaths. Wealthy guests sometimes died in their suites, and the concierge desk had access to embalming supplies. I used those supplies to preserve an apple core. The apple core has been in the jar for 52 years. It is on this table now. The seeds are still visible. The flesh is brown. The shape is intact. I am unfolding the velvet cloth I keep around it. The camera is tightening on the jar. This is the only physical object that survived from that afternoon. The attaché case was emptied. The contracts were never drawn. Tariq's translator notes were burned by the prince's office in July of 1972. The hotel's surveillance cameras did not record the suite. Suite 901 was exempt from surveillance per royal protocol. This apple core is what is left. It is what 4 men ate from. It is what one Saudi prince held in his hand when he learned how to be human. That night, June 17, 1972, Prince Khalid did not sleep. He sat in Suite 901, looking at Hyde Park through the western window for 7 hours. Tariq stayed with him. They did not speak. At 6:14 a.m. on Sunday, June 18th, the prince called his father in Riyadh on the international line. The 14-minute call is documented in Saudi diplomatic archives, which were partially declassified in 2019. The prince told his father, "Father, I have decided to build something. I will need access to the trust." His father said, "What will you build, my son?" The prince said, "A longer table." The Al-Sabah Foundation was established on August 14, 1972, registered in London, with offices in Riyadh and Kuwait City. The first project was 47 schools across Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, India, Pakistan, and East Africa. The first scholarship recipient was Vikram Patel. She did not know she was the first. She was told the foundation had selected her based on academic merit. The truth was different. The prince had personally read her application 11 times. He had cried each time. He had ordered the foundation's director to award the first scholarship to her, without revealing his involvement. By the prince's death in 2019, the Al-Sabah Foundation had built 4,247 schools. It had funded 47 hospitals. It had founded 14 universities. It had operated in 9 countries. It had educated approximately 14 million children over 47 years. The foundation's motto was inscribed on every school's entrance plaque. The motto was, "Build the longer table." Few people know the source of the motto. Only 6 people alive know. The other 5 have agreed not to speak. I am the only one telling. Bruce Lee returned to Hong Kong on June 23, 1972. He did not tell Linda Lee Cadwell about the meeting. He wrote in his black leather notebook on page 78, dated 6/17/72. The notebook is in the Bruce Lee Foundation archive in Seattle, Washington. I received a transcribed copy of the entry in 1985 in a letter from Linda Lee Cadwell. She had read the entry 6 years after Bruce's death. She had not understood the reference to the prince and the apple. She had begun to investigate. She had eventually written to the Dorchester. The hotel forwarded her letter to me. By then, 1985, I was the head concierge. The notebook entry reads, "Today a man with $400 million asked me how to live. I told him to feed his neighbor. The hardest truth I have learned is that wealth is not money. Wealth is the capacity to give without losing oneself. The prince had no capacity. He had only resources. I gave him an apple. I hope he learns the difference. 77 words. Linda's letter to me, dated November 22nd, 1985, said, Mr. Carter, thank you for the story. Bruce came home from London different. He was quieter for 4 weeks. He told me only that he had met someone who was lonely. He did not say who. I think he wanted to protect the prince's privacy. I think he understood loneliness in a way that has no English translation. Please give my regards to His Highness if you ever speak to him again. Tell him Bruce thought of him often, in a way he reserved for his closest students. I did not give Linda's message to the prince until March of 1986. The prince made one return visit to the Dorchester that month. He stayed for one night. He had a private dinner with me in his suite. He did not allow other staff to serve. I gave him Linda's letter. He read it standing at the western window. He held it for 14 minutes. He wept. He said, I was his student. I did not know. I did not see Prince Khalid bin Faisal Al-Sabah again for 33 years. I read about his death in the Times of London on November 16, 2019. He died in his sleep in Riyadh on November 14, 2019. He was 82 years old. He had never married again. He had no children of his own. His personal copy of Bruce's notebook entry was on his bedside table. His brother Faisal's pocket watch was in his hand. I have thought about that afternoon every week for 52 years. I used to think the story was about money. Then I thought it was about Bruce Lee's wisdom. Last year, in November 2024, I met Dr. Aisha Khan. She was 38 years old. She was tall. She had an East London accent layered over what I could hear was Mumbai underneath. She was my oncologist at the Royal Marsden Hospital. She had reviewed my file. She had paused at my employment history. She had said, Mr. Carter, may I ask, were you the senior concierge at the Dorchester in 1972? I said yes. She had said, Mr. Carter, I trained under Dr. Patel in Mumbai from 2012 to 2014. She told me a story about her father once, about an apple stand in Berkeley Square, about £1 million in an attaché case, about a stranger in a navy suit. Was that you? I had not been able to speak. She had reached into her white coat pocket. She had pulled out a small velvet bag. Inside the bag was a single apple seed. She had said, Dr. Patel gave this to me on the day I completed my residency. She said the apple had been in her family for 4 generations. She said it had to keep moving. She said, pass it on. I have been carrying this seed for 11 years, Mr. Carter. I did not know what to do with it. I have been waiting for the right person. She placed the seed on her desk. She said, Mr. Carter, I am going to keep you alive long enough to tell this story. Then, I am going to plant this seed in a hospital garden. The garden is at the school where I started my training in Bombay. Dr. Patel taught me there. The seed will grow into a tree. The tree will bear apples. The apples will feed children. The children will become doctors. I am 80 years old. I am dying of lung cancer. I have 7 months left, but the apple seed is on this table tonight, in a velvet bag, next to the apple core jar. The seed is going to Bombay in September. The tree will be planted in October. The first apples will grow in 2030. I will not be alive to see them, but I will be alive long enough to tell you that the apple Bruce Lee gave Prince Khalid in 1972 has been moving for 52 years. It has fed 14 million children. It has built 4,247 schools. It has trained Dr. Patel. It has trained Dr. Aisha Khan. It has kept me alive long enough to record this video. That is the longest table I have ever seen built. Bruce knew first. I am 80 years old. I have 7 months, maybe 9. Dr. Khan has scheduled my final treatment for September 14, 2026, the prince's birthday. She did not know it was his birthday when she scheduled it. She knows now. After my treatment, I will go home. I have not been home to my mother's village in Cornwall for 47 years. I will go there to die. But before I go, I have one more thing to say. The miracle is not the refusal. The miracle is the apple. A 138-pound man walked into a London hotel suite carrying nothing. He picked up a 4-pence apple from a fruit stand. He sliced it into 5 pieces. He fed 4 men. He told a Saudi prince what to do with the rest. The rest became 14 million educated children, 4,247 schools, 47 hospitals, and one oncologist who is keeping me alive long enough to plant a tree in Bombay. That is what one apple can do. That is what one man can build. Build the table. That is the lesson. That is the only lesson. Build the table. Next month, Dr. Aisha Khan will sit in this chair. She will tell you what Dr. Priya Patel told her in Mumbai in 2014, on the morning Aisha completed her residency. Dr. Patel handed her an apple. She told her where the apple had come from. She told her it was a 4-generation apple now. She told her, pass it on. Dr. Khan will tell you about the apple seed. She will tell you about the tree. She will tell you what she plans to do when the first apples grow in 2030. She will tell you the names of the first 11 children who will eat them. She has the names. She has been carrying them for 4 years. She is ready to share them. I am closing the velvet cloth around the apple core jar now. I am setting the apple seed bag next to it. The camera is tightening on both objects. This is the last thing I have to say. A 4-pence apple from a stand in Berkeley Square saved 14 million children. Bruce Lee picked it up. Bruce knew first. Build the table. Dr. Aisha Khan, London, coming next month.